As always, a big thank you to my executive level channel members, Bad Frog, Matrigno, Monopoly Mike, and Matsuda R. Click the join button below this video if you're interested in becoming a channel member with all of the benefits that entails. I also want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, GVE, or German Virtual Estate. They have an incredible opportunity for some of the high rollers in Upland, that being the first ever opportunity to own 100% of a neighbourhood in Upland. Yes, you heard me correctly. In Bakersfield, in the northwest, very exclusive, expensive part of the city, the San Troop neighbourhood has been consolidated by a consortium of 5 Uplanders, and they are selling off the entire neighbourhood to one lucky Uplander. As part of this purchase, you would be getting 432 properties with no locked properties inside the neighborhoods. The whole thing is yours. It's a gated community. It has a golf course right here in the middle. It's got a shopping center down here in the southwestern corner, with some marked properties down here, and it's filled with some absolutely beautiful properties as well. I'm going to have a link in the description for a YouTube video where the GVE shows off some of the fantastic properties that you'll be getting as part of this bundle. I don't know what else I have to say. If you are a high roller in Upland with some incredible aspirations to become the first ever single hood owner in Upland, and one of the most beautiful hoods that I've ever seen in the game to boot, I'll have a link to a post in Discord where you'll be able to submit your offer, and I'll have the same thing in the description as well. Thank you very much to the German Virtual Estate for sponsoring this video, and whoever does end up purchasing the Sandtrope neighbourhood in Bakersfield, congratulations, and I can't wait to see what you'll do with the area. On with the rest of the video. Well, Las Vegas is just around the corner, not just in Upland of course, but in real life as well. I'll be taking my trip to Las Vegas. Thank you so much to everybody who nominated me for the Player of the Year competition. I am so grateful for that, and I'm extremely excited to meet as many of you as possible in the City of Lights, or at least that's what Upland likes to call it. Let's talk about Las Vegas and my collection predictions for the city. I'm very glad that I decided to hold off on making this video until the neighborhood boundaries came out, where they've just come out, because there are so many different sites that say so many different things about where the neighborhood boundaries are going to be. Plus, this is a slightly unusual city release in that it's being released modular, depending on the amount of demand. We don't even know where it's going to start being unlocked. I imagine it'll be the downtown area, which will be in very high demand, as I'll go into in a minute, but only once presumably all of the properties, or like the vast majority of the properties, have been minted in a certain area, then Upland will release the next area. And we don't know if that's going to be neighborhood by neighborhood, or sort of in a, like if they're releasing part of a neighborhood at a time. Not very clear, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be dynamic, and it's going to be structured in a way where they're not flooding the whole market with hundreds of thousands of properties if people don't want them. So I think Upland has really listened to feedback from previous city releases, such as Los Angeles. I think if Los Angeles was released with this modular structure, people would have been a lot happier with that release. I thought it was a pretty good release, but it certainly did flood the market, and even today there's lots of unminted properties there. So I salute Upland for trying out this new approach, and we'll see how it goes. So from a collection prediction standpoint, I always have to give my disclaimer that I don't know any more than you do about the collections coming out. These are my best predictions based on my understanding of what's popular in Las Vegas, my understanding of how Upland likes to pick their collection areas, which sometimes can be very successful. I was very good in Queens, in Bronx, and sometimes I'm not so successful, like in Nashville. So I don't win every time, nobody does, but I'm hoping that with this information you will be a little bit better armed going into the Las Vegas release. So with all that out of the way, which neighborhoods do I suggest going for. Most of the neighborhoods which are here are quite large, and you know that I prefer to mint smaller neighborhoods if I'm tackling a neighborhood, just because of supply and demand, and the fact that Upland tends to prioritize smaller neighborhoods when they're picking their collections. So thinking about that, I think it's pretty obvious that the Arts District is immediately jumping out at me as a very clear collection potential. It's an extremely high demand area. It's very popular with tourists, and it's so small. I would be stunned if the Arts District wasn't a collection. I imagine the whole thing is going to mint out in seconds. So best of luck anybody who is speculating in the Arts District. That's a clear potential for me. On a similar note, the University District, I don't know if this is actually going to release as part of the Las Vegas release this week, because it is quite a long way out of downtown. Maybe they're going to save that one, depending on how much demand there is for properties here. But when it does release, wow, there are not many properties here in the University District, and the vast majority of this already small neighborhood is taken up by the university campus. To be honest, there might be even fewer properties here than in the Arts District. This is some really exclusive stuff down here. And just look at how many marked things there are here. Like, these aren't all going to be buildings even, because they're on the campus. That bodes pretty well for university campus being a collection. I often like to gauge, it's not a foolproof method, but if an area has lots of marked properties, it's a pretty good bet in my opinion. Continuing on for neighborhood predictions, one of these downtowns is surely going to be a collection. And if I had to pick one of the three, and I do think it's only going to be one of the three, just because, I mean, they're all worthy, right? There's lots of fantastic stuff all over downtown Vegas, but I think it's only going to be one of them, just because in that list of collections, it seems like it'll be a little bit weird being like, own 3 properties in downtown East, own 3 properties in downtown South. I think it's going to be downtown proper, which is actually the biggest of the 3. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a rare collection or even an exclusive collection. It might just be a limited. I think it could be an exclusive. It depends how densely packed these are all in. But you've just got to zoom in a little bit. I mean, come on, look at this. This is the Vegas that everybody knows and loves. The Strip runs straight through here. Main Street runs straight through here. The Fremont Street. These are all streets I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. But everybody knows this. This is downtown Las Vegas. I would be shocked if this wasn't a collection as well. And then just finishing up my thoughts on neighborhoods, Twin Lakes is certainly worth a gamble if that happens to come out. The properties over here are very luxurious. As you can tell by the fact there's actually water here, which is quite impressive considering Las Vegas is in the middle of a desert, and it has my trademark curvy roads, which is something that I love to look out for when I'm speculating on neighborhoods. As a general rule, it feels like if the neighborhoods have curvy roads, it's a place that you want to live. Don't know why, that just seems to be a general rule with American cities. And yeah, Twin Lakes does not disappoint on that front. So there's a lot of fantastic properties over here. Uplands do quite like to have kind of a luxury collection with some of the more exclusive properties in a city, so that could be a good speculation there. This whole area of western Las Vegas is quite affluent, and there's a lot of fantastic properties to be had over here, but Twin Lakes really does stand out as kind of the self-contained neighborhood as far as Upland is concerned, and the way they've drawn the boundaries. So yeah, in terms of neighborhoods, Arts District, University District, Twin Lakes, and downtown, those are the areas that I'd be targeting. What about the streets? Well, I kind of alluded to them a little bit, and I'm going to zoom in straight on downtown, because a lot of the hottest streets in Las Vegas are all located in downtown, and if you're minting anything around here, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Everybody knows when you think about Las Vegas, you're thinking about the Strip. Now, what is the Strip? I'm looking around the map. I can't see any streets called the Strip. Radishhead, what is going on? Don't worry, friends. It's South Las Vegas Boulevard. That is the Strip, or more specifically, The Strip is located on South Las Vegas Boulevard because the street is actually quite a lot longer than just the Strip. And that is absolutely worth keeping in mind because as I zoom out, this is South Las Vegas Boulevard along here. The bit which is in downtown is not the bit which most people consider to be the Strip. In fact, the absolute most northern part of the Strip is generally considered to be East Sahara Avenue. So you're taking this as the top spot, and then you're going down here on South Las Vegas Boulevard into Paradise. Now, Paradise is a massive neighborhood in Upland's version of Las Vegas. I wouldn't be surprised if they had that as a standard collection to have like an easily accessible standard collection for new players. This line along here, which runs along the southern edge of Winchester, that is Sahara Avenue. That is the northern edge of the Strip. And then if you go down here, follow my mouse along South Las Vegas Boulevard, the end of the Strip is generally considered to be, if I zoom in just here, Russell Road. This is the end of the Strip, just next to the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. So this is the southern edge of the Strip. Now, South Las Vegas Boulevard obviously runs quite a long way on either side of those two roads, Sahara Avenue in the north and Russell Road in the south. This reminds me quite a lot of Hollywood Boulevard and the Hollywood Walk of Fame in that I don't think there's going to be a Strip collection. I think there's going to be a South Las Vegas Boulevard collection, which is going to be maybe a limited, maybe an exclusive, because it is quite a long road. It's not just the Strip, that goes along quite a long way on both sides. I don't think there's going to be a specific Strip collection, but I do think there's going to be a iconic properties in Las Vegas ultra rare collection, which will contain a lot of the famous landmarks that everybody knows from the Strip. So my personal strategy, if I manage to mint anything on the Strip which isn't considered to be a like a mega famous Las Vegas property, I'm probably going to flip it while the goings are good, because I think it might just fall into a broader Las Vegas Boulevard collection, which will be fine, but I think I might be able to get more if I flip it to people who are speculating on a Strip collection. It could happen, but Upland haven't done it before. In Los Angeles, they didn't have a specific Hollywood Walk of Fame collection. They just had a Hollywood Boulevard collection. Upland could try something new here, but I like to base it on evidence that we've seen in the past, and that's how I'm going to treat Las Vegas Boulevard and the Strip. Going back up north now into downtown, and this is kind of classic Las Vegas and is home to the second most famous street in Las Vegas after the Strip, and that is Fremont Street. And if I just zoom in here, it is this one with all of the hotels and stuff alongside it. This is an extremely famous street. It has a lot of history, actually. It was the first paved street in Las Vegas, and it's also home to the Fremont Experience, which is an incredible thing. You just have to see some pictures of it if you haven't been. I can't wait to visit myself. But in terms of street collections, I'm just as confident that this is going to be a collection as I am about South Las Vegas Boulevard. And in fact, this street is shorter, so it actually could become a better collection. Just heading back south into Paradise, and I wanted to give a quick shout out to the NFL stadium and surrounding areas. I don't think there's going to be a specific like stadium collection or anything like that, but I think if you manage to mint some stuff around here on Mandalay Bay or Polaris Avenue, the stadium is going to be here. Upland seems pretty committed to the NFLPA partnership. If you want to set up a MetaVenture shop near a stadium, it's just down here. You saw me zoom in on it. Grab some stuff right near there, and I think you should be able to flip that for a profit regardless of collection status. I mentioned it earlier while I was talking about the Strip, but I think Sahara Avenue has a decent chance of being a collection because it goes back to my old theory. If there's lots of marked properties and lots of restaurants and lots of things to do on a street, Upland seems to be quite keen on picking it as a collection, and Sahara Avenue certainly has no shortage of that. Again, it is quite a long street, so don't be surprised if it turns out to be a limited collection rather than an exclusive. But if you just zoom in on the West Sahara Avenue bit near the strip, look at all these. What a fantastic part of the city. I'm going to be grabbing a few properties on Sahara Avenue for sure. Back in downtown now, and I think Main Street is a very good bet. This is like old school Las Vegas. It's got so many fantastic shops. If you're interested in the history of Las Vegas, Main Street is definitely the place to be. And unlike some of the other streets which I've looked at so far, Main Street is actually very short, which means that it could very well be an exclusive or even a rare collection. So best of luck people trying to mint that. If you can go for it, I certainly recommend you try. Any of these very iconic hotels or whatever on the strip, I think Upland is going to make a separate ultra rare collection for those. I feel like you can't have a Las Vegas release and not give some recognition to those. So just scrolling along the strip, and some of the ones which are jumping out at me, which I think could be part of an ultra rare, like see the sights of Las Vegas collection. You've got the Sahara Hotel, Circus, the Palazzo, the Venetian, the Mirage, Treasure Island, MGM Grand, Excalibur, Luxor, Mandalay Bay. These are, and then you go, there's Russell Roads down there. So there's only a small number of like mega casino hotels. If you've done your research, you know what they are already. Don't just take that list as a complete list. That's just me scrolling along. There's probably a few more, but you get the idea. If you manage to get one of those, I would hold on to it because it's literally a Vegas hotel and casino on the strip. So yeah, I wouldn't be letting those go for any cheap price. Speaking of which, I'm expecting those to be outrageously high mints. People are going to buy them. I've got 1 million UPIX saved for Vegas. I don't think I'd be able to mint the Luxor Las Vegas even for 1 million UPIX. The price of land right by the strip is going to be incredibly high, and these hotels have huge footprints. So if I'm a player who doesn't have a massive amount of money to spend, I would actually focus my efforts elsewhere and try to grab some smaller properties in stuff like the Arts District or on Main Street or on Sahara Avenue. The great thing about Upland is that people can play at different levels depending on the amount of UPIX they have in their account, and I think it's fair to say that these mega casino hotels are probably best left to the high rollers. And really, the final shout out that I wanted to give was for any areas which have water, because as I said, or even green space. Don't forget, Las Vegas is literally located in the Mojave Desert. If there is water or green space there, it's worth minting because there's clearly been a lot of money and resources put into it. If I zoom in on this bit in East Las Vegas, it could be a golf course, it could be a special gated community, who knows? But all that I know is if there is water, it's probably worth minting. I think people are willing to, even if it's not part of a collection, I'd be surprised if people weren't paying a premium in order to own waterfront property in Las Vegas. Winchester is the stress test, and there's a lot of water around here, so in the country club, so that's going to be popular. Winchester also has Paradise Road running through it, which is another potential collection street in my opinion. It has a bit of Las Vegas Boulevard, and the Winchester stress test even has the Sahara Hotel and Circus, so you are getting a proper bit of the strip here in the Winchester stress test, so I think that's going to be extremely well attended. And really, those are all of my predictions for Las Vegas. So to summarize, in terms of streets, Las Vegas Boulevard, especially the strip, Fremont Street, Sahara Avenue, Paradise Road, Main Street, anything right near the stadium, and anything right near water. Those are my areas that I'm targeting. Once again, thank you to my director and executive level channel members, Matsuda R, Monopoly Mike, Matrigno, Bad Frog, and Tishar Zing, and I hope to see you all in the next one, and I'll see some of you in Las Vegas. See you then.